Today's Kwibuka podcast describes the way in which acts of discrimination and persecution against Tutsis had been intensified in areas of the country long before 1994. April 29, 1994. Massacres perpetrated against the Tutsi in the former Gisenyi and Cyangugu prefectures. Massacres of Tutsis in Butotori Barracks, Marine, Rubavu. The Butotori military base is located in Butotori village, Rubona Cell, Nyamyumba sector, Rubavu district. During Habyarimana's reign, presidential guards lived in that military base, and they are the ones who killed many Tutsis from the surrounding areas. A number of genocide preparatory meetings led by senior military officers such as Colonel Teones Bagosora, Colonel Senjumva Anatol, and others took place at the barracks. The military base also served as a training camp for Interahamwe militia. On April 29, 1994, many Tutsis, including families of Laurent Nyaruzungu, Jonathan Karekezi, and André Babonamoze and his child, were killed at the barracks. Those who participated in the killings of the above-mentioned people were Major Kavera, who led the barracks, Lieutenant Minani, a native of Nyamyumba, Bizumuremi Jean Berkimas, a prominent killer since 1992 in Kibuye, and a member of the Presidential Guard called Patrice. Before the genocide against the Tutsi, Shangi Parish was located at Gafunzo Commune, Shangi Sector, and its currently Nyamasheke District, Shangi Sector. Discrimination and persecution against Tutsis in Gafunzo had been going on for a long time, but since the RPA launched the liberation struggle in 1990, it had become intense. During that period, MRND and MDR had joined efforts to persecute Tutsis. In 1992, educated Tutsis who occupied various positions in public institutions in Gafunzo Commune were fired. They included those who worked in the education sector. In addition, Hutus who had married Tutsis were asked to divorce them. A councillor named Aniseti Bachamurugwango led by example and divorced his wife on the basis that she was a Tutsi. However, some families rejected the request, vowing to stick together. In 1993, Interahamwe militia were being trained across the country. Those from Gafunzo were training at Shaga Shati factory. The then director of the factory, Calixte Nsabimana, a native of Gisenyi, had been declaring publicly his hatred for Tutsis. He played a key role in training the militia with support from local prefect Emmanuel Bagambichi, his deputies Gerard Terebura, and Theodore Munyangabe, and Lieutenant Samuel Imanishimwe. On April 8, 1994, Interahamwe were running up and down in the area, chanting that they would wipe down the Tutsis to Batsemba Tsembe. This is when Tutsi families started fleeing to Shangi Parish. Roadblocks were erected everywhere. The first one was established near Shangi Parish in front of Teacher Bonaventure's house. From April 12 to 13, 1994, Interahamwe militia together with residents started to attack Tutsis who had taken refuge at the parish. The latter defended themselves and repelled the attacks. On April 14, 1994, a third major attack led by a militia called Pima attacked them. It had come from Nyamirundi. Before killing the Tutsis who had fled to Shangi Parish, the militia passed by Gafunzo commune to take guns and grenades to use. Burugumestre Charles Karorero instructed the brigade of the commune to distribute weapons to the militia. The weapons were instrumental in the killing of Tutsis in the area. The militia cut off the water supply system to starve the Tutsi refugees at Shangi Parish. Those who tried to go fetch water from the nearby Kivu Lake were immediately attacked and killed by mobs of militiamen who were waiting near the parish. On April 18, 1994, a delegation from the prefecture led by Sous-Prefet Munyengabe Theodore held a meeting with all councillors and requested the latter to compile lists of all Tutsis who had fled their homes and where they had taken refuge. Over the next few days, Father Mateje Koeme, Sous-Prefet Munyengabe, and commune staff would come every day and pick strong men and boys, as well as those educated amongst the refugees, to go and kill them. They lied to the rest that those who were being called were found to be in possession of illegal weapons meant to kill Hutus and therefore had to go to Kamembe court to provide explanation about it. None of those taken ever returned. On April 27, 1994, around 10 a.m., another attack of Interahamwe from Shangi and Nyabitecheri came to the parish but was defeated and sent back. On April 29, 1994, a major attack led by Yusufu Mnyakazi from Bugarama, carrying machetes, clubs, guns and grenades, came in 3 trucks. The survivors of the attack said the Interahamwe was singing, "Isi nibirimo byose ni iby'Abahutu," literally meaning, "The world and everything in it belongs to the Hutus," throwing grenades and using machetes. On that day, they stopped killing around 7:30 in the evening and took the surviving girls to rape them. On April 30th, 1994, the militia came to kill those who were wounded and then brought people who were going to the market and ordered them to pick up the lifeless bodies from the church and take them to a pit called Red Cross. When the pit was full, they dug others and threw in the remaining corpses in order to clean up the church. Father Mategeko Eme, a prominent killer at Shangi, was convicted of the genocide crimes and sentenced to life imprisonment. He is serving his sentence in Nyanza prison. Kamaramaka Stadium was located nearby Rusizi Court, military base, the gendarmerie, Cyangugu Prefecture headquarters, Cyangugu Prison, Cyangugu Diocese, and Kamembe Business Center. It was also close to the DRC border. This was the reason that drove many Tutsis to seek refuge at the stadium, because they thought they would be safe near all these administrative buildings. The first group of Tutsis arrived at the stadium on April 9, 1994, with their cattle, as their Hutu neighbors had started burning their houses. On April 19, 1994, a military attack led by Prefet Bagambichi Emmanuel of Cyangugu arrived. They had a list of Tutsi men who they wanted to kill first, including the educated and those who appeared rich. Others were strong men who would be able to defend themselves. Father Lohani Mugura mocked them when they appealed to him for their safety. He answered them that they were not the ones who should be depressed, as Hutus were mourning the father of their nation. However, his colleague Father Oscar Mundayezu comforted Tutsi refugees and brought them food and administered sacraments to those who had wanted them. Father Lohani Mugura was sentenced to 20 years in prison. He has completed his sentence and he now lives with the Bishop of Cyangugu Diocese. Tutsis who had taken refuge at Kamaramaka Stadium lived a miserable life, as there was no water, no food, and no toilets. They suffered from dysentery and related diseases due to lack of water and poor hygiene. On April 26, 1994, another military attack led by Lieutenant Samuel Imani Shimwe attacked the Tutsi refugees. The attack took all Tutsi men to be killed first. Prefet Bagambichi decided that Tutsi refugees who had fled to the stadium would not be given a chance to flee to the then Zaire, today's DRC. He decided to send them to Nyarushishi, far from the border, so that none of them would be able to cross the border. On April 28, 1994, another military attack came and again took the remaining Tutsi men to be killed. The refugees held a meeting and agreed that they would look for a way to flee to Zaire. Around 3 a.m., they took the road to Zaire, but government soldiers who had been watching their movement blocked them. Prefet Bagambichi and the soldiers had been waiting for them on their way and ordered them to go back to the stadium. On their way back, Interahamwe militia and soldiers started to kill them with guns, machetes, clubs, and grenades. Those who survived were taken to Nyarushishi. Lieutenant Imani Shimwe Samuel was found guilty of genocide crimes by the ICTR and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Thank you for listening to another episode of Kwibuka Podcast. As always, make sure you leave us a review, sharing what you like about the podcast, and share with others who would be interested in listening.